Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte, and today we are going to be going over some of the moves by the Toronto Maple Leafs during this year's offseason so far. So it's year two under the new group there, with Brad Treliving at the center of the attention there for the Leafs. And they made a couple of moves, and I think they did really well this summer so far. So we're going to take a look at some of the moves they made, some of the guys that have left. We're going to go over that today. So we're going to start off with some of the departures. The first one being really one of the more noticeable in Tyler Bertuzzi. He ends up going to the Chicago Blackhawks, leaving the franchise. It was one of those moves that was maybe seen as a short-term thing anyway. Tyler Bertuzzi was a good player in his time there, but they needed to address adding money to the blue line, and they were definitely able to do that with kind of transitioning to what they did, making a trade with the Dallas Stars, trading restricted free agent rights to goaltender Max Ellis and a 2026 7th-round pick for the trading rights, or the signing rights, to Chris Tanev. That was huge, and really started to get the ball rolling for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the first real signing we saw for the Leafs, we saw them re-sign Max Domi. So he signed a 4-year deal, $3.75 million per season. I think it came down to the Leafs either keeping Domi or Bertuzzi. I think that decision was made easier for them with how Domi played down the stretch. They decided to go back with Domi. There's a great contract here for the Leafs. It's a cheap number. It's got a little bit of sustainability to it. There's a guy that's going to be here for the next few years. And I think giving him a 4-year deal allowed them to lower the salary per season. So I think that was a really good move there. They also bring back Timothy Liljegren, which was seen as maybe a move we weren't expecting. We were maybe expecting Liljegren, either his rights to get traded or for him to just leave and get waived. That didn't end up being the case. So according to The Athletic, they announced it was a 2-year deal, $3 million AAV, which is $3 million per season on the cap hit. Interesting move, especially adding Tanev, and now you've got Liljegren at that number. They're definitely investing more into the blue line, which I think is a good move. But I don't think there was any other options out there that they were like, yes, we have to get this guy. So they got their guy in Tanev. They decided to keep Liljegren. They know what they have. So that's what we have here in Toronto. Now, there's been some conflicting reports about Nick Robertson. So Nick Robertson is currently a restricted free agent of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and apparently he requested a trade from Toronto, and this was reported from Chris Johnston. So he asked for a trade from the team. He does not want to re-sign with the Leafs. I think this would be a pretty safe assumption to say that a lot of this has to do with the fact of his playing time. He hasn't gotten a lot of playing time with the Leafs. That's a very fair and I would say pretty important part of your career, right? He wants to develop. He wants to grow in the league. And if he's not getting the ice time or the minutes, he's going to want out. So I don't know exactly what the Leafs are going to do here with that. Maybe they add another defenseman, trading a guy like Robertson. I know Leaf fans don't want the idea of trading Robertson, but this is something that this bridge might already have come to pass in the sense of, yeah, he's going to get more playing time this year, but he might be thinking to himself, the bridge has already been burned. I want out. I'm done. And that's kind of where the Leafs lose the leverage here. If he doesn't report to training camp and things like that, now you're creating a lot more drama, especially in Toronto. And now you have a guy that is kind of hard to trade because teams know that, A, you're going to have less teams willing to trade for him because they're already filling out their rosters. They know who's going to be playing. So now this is just another guy. You're not going to get the value for him that you want. It's going to be interesting to see what Treliving does here, but I'll keep you guys up to date with that. Joseph Woll will be returning to the Toronto Maple Leafs, a 3-year deal. $3.6 million is the annual average cap hit, which is just a little over $3.5 million per season. So it's a good move. The Leafs need goaltending. Totally fine with it. And in other goalie news, they also let go of Ilya Samsonov, who is now a member of the Vegas Golden Knights. Following that up, we saw a little bit more action from the Toronto Maple Leafs as they signed Oliver Ekman-Larsson. This was another guy that was reportedly going to the Maple Leafs. We've heard about Tanev and OEL for a while, and it was officially made on Monday. 4 years, $3.5 million for Oliver Ekman-Larsson. I like the move. I think that was a strong move by the Leafs, adding a little bit more mobility to that blue line, right? Because TJ Brody, obviously you have a guy like Morgan Riley, but I think adding OEL, he can also play on the power play, which I think will be a benefit for the Leafs. He was really good on the Panthers power play unit this playoff, so they're probably hoping to see some of that in Toronto. And then kind of following that up, we saw another move with the Leafs. as they brought back Matt Murray. Another move that I'm okay with. It's a one-year deal, $875K. They're probably just looking to see what's left of him. Nothing too crazy there. Joel Edmondson leaves the Toronto Maple Leafs and is now a member of the Los Angeles Kings, so best of luck to him moving forward. Noah Gregor ends up going down the road to Ottawa, so no longer will we see him, and that kind of made sense. It didn't really seem like a great match during his time there. Ilya Lyubushkin goes on to Dallas. So we're going to see a move there where he is no longer with the Leafs. But I think the Leafs overall got a better blue line. They let some defensemen go. But I think overall they are better off from that. And kind of looking through here, I think that was it. Oh, Yanni Hakanpää comes in 2 years, $1.5 million per year. I really liked him in his time in Anaheim. So I think that's another guy that I have a soft spot for just because of his name alone. Really happy to see him going to Toronto. I think they're going to like his presence. TJ Brody leaves, going over to Chicago. So Bertuzzi and Brody both going from the Leafs over to the Blackhawks. And that is pretty much it. Like I said, Chris Tanev, I don't remember what his number ended up being. I've been trying to look for it. Let me see if I can find it. You guys are going to be screaming, saying, Kevin, how did you forget? Let me see if I can find it real quick before we close out. I thought I saw it already, but... So there it is. Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure I got the contract right. Apologies for that, guys. It's a 6-year deal, $4.5 million AAV. Like I said, you're giving him the term, but you have a lower AAV. And that's really the key thing here. This makes a lot of sense because you look at some of the guys that Brad Treliving added here with the Calgary Flames. There's a connection there, right? He also signed with the Calgary Flames back a couple years ago when he left the Vancouver Canucks going to Calgary. That was Chris Tanev. So a lot of connections here. I like this move. It makes a lot of sense for the Leafs. It makes a lot of sense for Tanev. So you look at some of the guys that have left compared to the guys that came in. You added Chris Tanev on the blue line, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. I would say those are upgrades to this team. And overall, I think bringing back guys like Liljegren as well, I would say it's a win for the Leafs. And it's not any big flashy moves, but we've seen the Leafs make big flashy moves in the past, and it hasn't worked out. So I'm totally okay with this. This is a situation where the Leafs, you just needed to make some changes to the blue line. And I think with what they have right now, they have to feel pretty good about themselves. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think the Leafs are going to be a better team next season? Let me know in the comment section down below. I definitely think they are better, but I want to know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time.